All right, we are here, episode 114 of the Podioslave podcast. What better place than here? What better time than now? This is the Rage Against the Machine tribute episode. Just kidding, Anthony here.
That would have been sweet. Can we save that for like another time, like soon?
Someday, right? We can do. We've always hinted at that Rage episode. We just haven't done it yet.
I know, it's nice.
The
It's
Rage
just on the
app,
table.
the Deftones app. We've the Pearl Jam app. Although we're kind of doing that tonight, but
A little bit.
yeah, we'll save those. Those are rainy day. We can. Yeah, maybe we'll do a series, house band series or something.
Well, we can hashtag Rage just because you mentioned it, and we'll get spins hopefully.
Yeah, and Deftones and Pearl Jam.
Deftones. Yep, sweet, heavy hitters.
So yeah, we got another OG app here. We've got some stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks, but timing and all that stuff is always finicky and things change. So we're gonna do the three of us an OG. Like episode 7, or I guess 7 was probably Mark. So episode 15, we're back, the three of us, just doing our thing, talking Pearl Jam. We're gonna start with Pearl Jam, right, Nate?
Yes, but just a little precursor to the deep dive we're about to go in. We're better than we were at 15.
Yeah, in more ways than one.
And almost 100 episodes removed, right? 99 episodes.
I know, right? Yeah.
99 episodes, and episode 15 ain't one of them. So
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so Nate, you saw Pearl Jam 3 different shows, I believe, right?
Yes. Yep. I am a big fan. And we've been talking about this tour since the inception of this podcast, which is because I bought those tickets, 3 weeks before the pandemic kicked into gear, which was around when we launched, right? Early March, mid-March. Tickets went on until mid-February, I think. So it was all ready to go. I bought six shows, and I'm only going to be able to make 3. And started in San Diego, kicked off in where I live now, and did 2 LA shows. And it's something I've always wanted to do. I was always like envious of like Fish fans and Dead fans and even DMB fans, any of those like legacy touring bands that do their thing. And I'm like, well, my band's Pearl Jam, and they tour, and when they do an absolute world tour, and it's amazing. But between scheduling conflicts, this and that, cost association, it's hard to follow a band, logistically especially. So this time I pulled it off, but only 3 out of 6. So that kind of gives you an idea of how hard it actually is to pull off. And it was amazing, man. Great. They're still killing it. They're older, and they still just fucking slay. I was absolutely stoked by the whole experience.
So last week we did set list, talked all about set list. You said Pearl Jam was notorious for 35 song set.
Yes.
Were you impressed seeing them 3 times a week? Did they mix it up? I mean, did Eddie tell some stories between?
Yeah,
because you hyped it up, Nate. You hyped it up big time.
I did. And there's a few things to that. I'm going to unpack it right now. 35 song set lists. Yes, Pearl Jam and what's known as the Jamily, which is the Pearl Jam family, all expects. At this point, the band has raised the bar so fucking high that they're known to play 35 plus song set lists. They're known to switch it up every night. They're known to have explosive energy. As you just mentioned, Eddie is known for giving stories and context to the songs, poetry style in a lot of ways, where it's just kind of read it in between the lines, which is super fascinating coming from the vocalist and songwriter himself on stage in the moment. On top of that, he always integrates the local scene, whether it's the sports teams, he's a big sports guy, or just their come up in that market. So whether it's playing the small club to the theater, to the arena, to the stadium type, he always mentions that, which I think is cool. And the San Diego show in particular, he's from here. So he, mentioned Lou's Records, actually. He mentions it every time.
Shout out Lou.
Yep. But yeah, so with all that said, Pearl Jam, they always kill it, but there is one thing different, and the set list was for sure shorter than normal. And I think anyone that's following the tour or is a Pearl Jam fan, it's the first thing you notice, because it's like, oh, damn, okay, so the show is in fact over. The lights just came on. This is crazy. Like, that bar is set so high, you're like, what? Like, huh? What happened to 3.5 hours? But you forget as a fan, you're like, well, dude, first of all, it was just a pandemic. Secondly, they're in their mid-50s, close to 60s in some cases. So it just comes with age, and it is what it is. You almost you call it for what it is, So
2 things can I say real quick?
Sure.
The boss.
Yep.
Throwing that out there. At that age was tossing out 30, 35 song set lists and, just making his shows go 3.5 hours. So not everybody. The boss, he's one of a kind, though. Right? Yeah. He's one of a kind. And two, you knew I was going to call you out because I've been texting about it all week in our group text.
Exactly.
I was like, man, 23 songs. What happened to 35, Nate? Where's 35 songs? No, we all love Pearl Jam, and it's been 4 years since I've toured. I heard Jeff Ament was on Bill Simmons' podcast, so I listened to that, and he kind of recapped the first show in San Diego and how, it's just been a while. They had rehearsed the Gigaton songs 3 different times to get ready to go on tour, and this is finally it. So kind of wild to have them be 2+ now years out from that album dropping and being able to tour on it. I mean, similar to what you're going to see in a couple weeks with Deftones. Like, you're just not seeing bands that this is a weird circumstance for that, and especially a band that's been around a long time like Pearl Jam.
How many Gigaton songs did they play? Because remember, we talked about this. 23 thongs. 23 thongs. Thong song. 23 song set. We talked about what? 2 to 3 new ones max, right?
Yeah.
Oh, for like an ideal?
Yeah. So did they cover the thong song? And 2, how many new ones did they play?
So the thong song by the ever so great Cisco was not played, although that song is phenomenal, and the music video is very much of the time, which I think was 2000.
Yeah.
If you had Nate saying that on your bingo card, drink in real time, man. Drink again.
Yes, drink twice, please. And then the second kind of part to that question, they were averaging about 4 to 5 songs per night from Gigaton, so properly promoting said album and the tour that this is supposed to support, although like we were just talking about, it's 2 years removed, so that's a hard hang, to promote something that's already kind of grandfathered in. Yes to no, right? Because obviously it's still relevant, but at the same time, I mean, I guess to give more context, they're writing a new album now,
right?
With Mike Watt, and they're probably almost prepping. This is almost like road prepping to promote that album when it drops. I'm thinking maybe actually in Real Time Drink that this is almost a tour that'll blend into the new touring cycle for the album that will likely drop next year, if I'm guessing, which is actually a shorter time frame than normal. They were working on this album before they jumped on the road. So,
hey, unprecedented times, man.
Yeah,
and I mean that's the thing, right? It is because of the time, the times we're living in, that we get something like this happening with bands of their size, bands of their ilk that have been around for so long and are able to pull from a ton of different albums and songs to play a show, but haven't played a show in 4 years. I mean, they played a handful now, but hadn't played a show in that long. That's a long time for a band like them who are road dogs and would play long sets and play a bunch of places and be all over the world, to not have a ton under their belt, really. Ohana Fest, and then the 6 or 7 dates they've played since they started the tour now. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, and noticeably different. I'm happy you brought up Ohana because those were great shows, but I knew as a fan and just live music kind of critic per se that they were definitely good then, but something was off, and it was the fact that, they just hadn't performed live in so long, so they didn't have, whether it was the rehearsal and like enough rehearsal time to get it dialed, and or just the fact that it was like essentially a 2 off or 3 off if you count See Here Now in New Jersey run. So they were like, all right, like we only have to practice so much. COVID was rampant then, so it was like kind of like, all right, can we even pull this off? But now this is the first, or at least what I saw, the first 3 dates of a world tour. 1 in San Diego, 2 in LA. So first San Diego show was amazing, hometown show. Second show in LA was also amazing. The third show I saw in LA easily just killed Slade over those first 2 nights. Like it was almost like those 2 first nights warmed up for the third night. And I can't wait for the bootlegs because you can tell if you listen to all those 3 shows, which will be available, you can tell that their energy is at least tenfold from the first 2 shows. They just crush it the whole time. Me and my buddy were just watching it like, damn, they're on another level tonight. And it was a Saturday night. Eddie's stoked, like just dribbling basketballs around the stage and then throwing them to the audience, giving away tamarines to people. Mike McCready's fucking doing his crazy solos, took off his shirt, gave it to a fan. Eddie's ripping the set list off the stage, handing it to a different fan. It was like a fucking intense nerd experience. Like, they are so stoked right now, and the fans are getting like this treat. They're getting like a basketball pass to them from the fucking band member. Like, it was really cool, and I think it was being filmed too, as a little inside for later.
Nice.
I mean, that's the value of seeing multiple dates. Like, if you went to just the first one, you would have been pleased, but you wouldn't have known that it got better the next night. So
exactly.
And I love that they do antics like that.
Yeah.
I've never seen them, but I feel like that's probably what they've always done, right? Shit like that.
The Tamarines, yes. Giving away the set list, yes. Dribbling basketballs all over stage and doing tricks and then passing it and then tossing it to the audience. I've never seen Eddie do that, but I know he's had like Dennis Rodman on stage and cool stuff like that as well. So yeah, they do, they do crazy, cool, unique things, but they're a band that can pull it off. They can do whatever the hell they want. So
Nate, how many times have you seen them?
I don't have the spreadsheet that Twan has, so not enough. I'm going to say that.
How dare you?
Give me an idea. Give me a rough estimate. 15, 10?
I think more like 12, maybe.
Okay.
Not enough. So like a lot of these Pearl Jam fans are traveling from all over the world. In fact, shout out to State 11 Trust podcast. They connected me with a guy that's following the whole tour, international, every single continent. He's catching every show because I can't make the Oakland shows or the Phoenix show. So I said, hey, if you want tickets, I have them. And he's only looking for floor. He's going to be on rail, which means he's going to be at the front, like actually holding on the rail, looking at the stage. Wow. For every single show in every single continent on this Pearl Jam tour, which just kicked off in North America, that goes to Europe, and probably more to be announced.
Wow. Yeah. No, I was asking because I'm wondering. It sounds like shows 1 and 2 are good, but show 3 might have made it to like the top 3 Pearl Jam shows for you or something like that. So, how would you feel? Like, where would you rank them this run?
Fuck. The first show I ever saw, I think, is my number 1, just because it has that special placement, which is in 04 at the old Fleet Center, when it was still called the Fleet Center.
Yep.
Number 2 would probably be San Diego, 2013, when I first moved here. I think that was a 3.5-hour show. And then this might be LA3 or LA2 rather might be my 3rd favorite show by the band ever. And that's including PJ20, which is the 20th anniversary shows they did in Wisconsin, where they had Chris Cornell come out and they played 2 nights and they just played their hearts out, and obviously It was special.
So that was a good show.
That was a good show, yeah. But LA2 that I just went to is they just stopped. They didn't stop. It was like a punk rock show. They would just jam through songs, talk a little bit, jam through songs. They were playing fast and they were playing furious, and it was, I think, surprising, like given, like we were talking about the circumstance, but also their age, like Matt Cameron slaying it. Oh, actually, that's one more thing. Matt Cameron went up and played a song, played guitar. He played a tribute to Taylor Hawkins, which was very special. Yeah. Cold Day in the Sun.
I saw that on the set list, so I was wondering if that's what that was.
Yeah. I've never seen Matt Cameron ever sing, so that was unique.
That's how deep into the nerdery we go here, guys. Yeah. I was looking at set lists of shows that Nate was at on the other coast, because I wanted to know how good of a time he was having.
Were you refreshing it in real time drink?
I've done that in the past, years ago. Dave Matthews Band, actually. Nate, I think you went the night after I went in Boston in 2005, or just outside of Boston.
Sweet.
And I was, exactly. And I was looking at the website, Dave Matthews' website, would update it as it was happening. And this is like 2005. Like, what the fuck? This doesn't happen.
Way ahead of time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember watching that, thinking, "Oh man, they got that song. I didn't get that song last night." It was pretty wild. But yeah, it's not the first time I've done that. Refreshed in real time, but drink. But yeah, it was something that I did, listening to or watching what Pearl Jam was doing for the homie Nate, just because I wanted to be there too, obviously, and I knew that you were having a blast.
Yeah, vicarious nerdery is very appreciated.
All right, switching gears. We haven't done this in a while because we've had a bunch of interviews, we've had some other stuff happening, but we haven't really talked about what we're listening to right now. And it's been, geez, man, it's probably since the end of the year where we did our top 5 of 2021 that we kind of let people in on what we were down with. I know we do it on the socials here and there, but we haven't talked about it on the podcast. Music that we're into, stuff we're listening to right now, doesn't necessarily have to be stuff from 2022, but I took it that way. But it could just be what you've gotten into this year musically, and what's kind of piqued your interest, and bring it to each other, bring it to our listeners. Maybe you'll find something new that you've never listened to before.
Yeah, I mean, I took that kind of same approach. These are two of them are kind of legacy bands with new stuff that I always check out their stuff. In two of these instances, it's their best material in a long ass time, so it's exciting. So I get that fire, like
Nice.
you know, I'm ready for, you know, because again, these are the albums coming out of the pandemic. This is the product of the pandemic. They've had a lot of time to stew on it, and man, if this is what we're gonna get from some of these bands that were holed up, then I'm fucking here for it. I'm excited.
I'm so happy you said that, because that actually was something that I, like a realization I had midday today. I'm like, okay, like, am I listening to new music? Like, luckily, like Spotify keeps those receipts for you, and you're like, oh, I am listening to music. I almost forget because there's so much going on. But also the new music that's being released, like you said, is of the times. Like, we launched this podcast during the pandemic. Like, we were talking back then, like, what music are we going to get out of this? And now we're like 2 years removed. You know, these albums are actually starting to drop, whether they were delayed or they were written recently as a reflection. It's really cool. I think it is going to cause a really interesting release of different genres and styles that have their band working at their absolute best, mainly because they have something to prove at this point. You know, it's like, hey, I'm back and this is what I got.
So with that, who do you have, Nate? Spill the beans.
Oh man, I got a lot. So I started to realize also, this is what's good about these exercises. I realized, like, why am I listening to this music? For me, it's like, I don't know if I get overwhelmed or something. I'm trying to do too much. But I realize there's music that I'm listening to because it's agenda driven in some way. So the venue I work at, there's bands that are coming through. So like in some cases, I'll be like, oh, well, I should check them out. And I'm probably going to see them. I want to know what they're all about or what the new album that they dropped is going to sound like. So I'm a little more familiar with it. And one that is coming to this venue is the band Spoon. Great band. Always liked them. Haven't listened to them in a very long time. And they were clearly working on an album during the pandemic. And the newest record is so friggin' good. Like right out of the gate, it's like some nerd stuff where like they just have this almost like tape reel recording their jam session, and you kind of see them, or you hear them talk, I guess off mic per se. All right, we're recording, let's go. And it just turns into a jam, and it's just like, oh, this is rad. This is like the, you know, recording right to tape type stuff that we all love, but you rarely hear it, especially with that kind of style to it. Like, we're actually going to record, we're going to keep that part onto the final master as well, because we want this to be a vibe. So, great fucking record. Like, it's actually a front, I want to say right now, it's definitely a front to back, because I think it captures that just because they kept that kind of B-reel into the intro. So I'm like so stoked to see them live now again, especially in a club setting. And it's just some jammy, cool, laid back rock music that I think we need right now. It's kind of a combination of all things.
Yeah, I remember they had a moment in like the mid 2000s when I worked at college radio. They were kind of blown up. So like if you were into like, I don't know, TV on the radio or like The Faint, you know, it was kind of that realm. And I really liked it. And I haven't listened to them since. So I'm open-minded. I'll check it out. And they're actually coming to Portland. So maybe I'll see them. Who knows?
Where are they playing in Portland?
I think Thompson's Point. It's a co-headline with someone else, right?
Oh, awesome.
Is that with Interpol?
I think it is. And it's funny. I almost said Interpol when I rattled off TV on the radio.
Fit.
Like that realm. Yep.
No, I same thought. They're a band that I spent some time with in the middle to late 2000s, and then never picked them back up, and I don't know why, because I'm always intrigued. And now that Nate has said, you know, check it out, I'll check it out. Like I wrote it down. I'm gonna add it to my list before we're done tonight, and it'll be a thing that I put on in the car, you know, going to and from work. So I'm excited to that's why I like doing exercises like this with you guys, because we always will bring something to the table that maybe the other two have not checked out yet.
Plus, we saw them open for that Weezer show, right? In 05? It's Weezer, The Fray, and Spoon.
Was Spoon at that too? I can't remember.
That was good. That was a
you're
good
probably
tour.
right. That was a great show.
Nate, I was gonna say, like, do you see what Tone did there? He wrote down the recommendation and then he acts on it. Do you notice that?
Yeah, I know.
You will.
It's
you
good.
will. It's okay.
It's a promissory note. Like, it's written down, documented. Plus, it's at the end of the day, it's like, help me help you. Like, this is good music. Like,
Right. Exactly.
you know, everyone wants a recommendation, not coming from the advertisement or the Spotify recommendation, like, like you're tracking me. I just want an organic fucking suggestion.
I know. I feel like we don't get those enough anymore, and that's sad because I found some of my favorite music that way.
Oh, exactly.
Am I a victim of payola right now?
Yeah.
If no, check it out.
Yeah, I'm selling tickets at the venue right now, right? So check out Spoon.
There you go.
Oh boy. All right. I'm gonna jump in. I'm ready. We talked about this in passing months back when it dropped, and it was around the birthday of the voiceover guy throughout the record. You guys remember what I'm talking about?
The voiceover guy.
It's a famous actor. He's been around for a long time. He did the voiceover kind of.
Jim Carrey?
Yeah. Yep.
The Weeknd?
The Weeknd record. Yeah. Dawn FM.
Wow.
I spun it again today, and I was like, "Shit, this is really good." And it's a great headphones record because there's kind of some Daft Punkiness to the beats, which I love and he's worked with him before on Starboy and a few others. They've produced some stuff with Abel, with The Weeknd, and man, this record is right up my alley for that because it's hooky, it's catchy, it's got a through line so that you're not just listening to one song and then okay, the next song is kind of cool but different but doesn't really make any sense for the album. This all has a theme, and I'm really into it, and it's one of my front runners for album of the year. And even though it dropped so early, I don't think I'll forget it as the year goes on because it is a great record to just kind of throw on your headphones and melt into the couch or take to the gym or listen to in the car with the windows rolled down. So there's a lot to it, and I'm really stoked on it, and I think it's some of his best work, and he's got a lot of really good work out there.
So question for you, is it a grower album? And the reason I ask is I think I've listened to it 2 or 3 times and it got better each listen.
Yes.
And it wasn't bad to start. It was good. And then it increased the listening experience, especially once you kind of get the vibe of it, It's a vibe album too.
It's definitely a vibe album, and I would agree. I think it does get better as you listen to it, and you kind of pick up the nuance of the through line of it being like an 80s radio station, and the kind of soothing Jim Carrey tones throughout each a couple of different tracks, and it's kind of weird, but it also works. And I don't know, it just clicked with me, and it continues to click with me 3 months later now that it's been out for a quarter of the year.
Twan, that's a good point because I'm thinking of The Weeknd. That was how it was for his last album for me. I listened to it the first time, I'm like, this is pretty good, but maybe I'll revisit. Second time I liked it more. Third time I loved it. And then I saw him in that movie with Adam Sandler. I'm like, oh, he's great in this too. So, but I think it's actually because that's not my go-to genre. So when I listen to that type of style of music, I almost need to be accustomed to what I'm getting into. And it takes me a few times like, oh no, I actually do like this. It's just not something I listen to every day.
The critical response has been super good, super high. Yeah. I think this will be on a lot of year-end lists because I think the other part of it too is he's at a place where he can take chances to have this theme,
Yep.
I know Logic the rapper had kind of a same type of vibe with one of his albums, and I don't think when it came out, I don't think people were ready for it because he didn't, people weren't expecting that. But if he was a little more established, I think folks would have maybe latched onto it sooner.
Definitely, yeah. Weeknd has been so popular over the last 8 to 10 years, right? I mean, it's probably been, when was Can't Feel My Face? 2013?
10 years ago, yeah.
Yeah,
wow.
Right? So, that was where he popped off. He had been doing stuff before that and started to gain, traction, but that was where he made it into the culture for everybody, and we all knew that song. And I think it won a Kids' Choice Award, and it's about doing cocaine, which is funny.
Oh my God.
But you could read into the lyrics on this too. There's some stuff in there that could take you down a path that isn't necessarily rated PG. So, but it's a great record. It's just the guy doesn't really miss right now. And I think this is another one of those, it's a chance, but it really works.
Side note on the Kids' Choice Awards is, I guess all award shows are rigged because, like you said, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, right.
And he, in, why can't I think of the song? He references that, winning that award and it being about that. I'm going to jump in here. First one, and this first one does fit that description that I mentioned earlier, which is legacy band that I think it's their best album in 20 years since their 2002 album Caution, and it's a Hot Water Music. The album Feel the Void off, I think this one's on Equal Vision. They were on Rise for a while. They were on Doghouse too, way back in the day. But yeah, Feel the Void. It's less punky. It's not as fast, and it's not as, we'll call it, scruff or angry as their early stuff. It's very much in the lane of like Gaslight Anthem. So I know if you don't know Hot Water Music and if you like Gaslight Anthem, give this record a try. It reminds me of like when Boy Sets Fire did kind of this turn where they went a little more polished and it's a little cleaner. There are songs that kind of channel back to the roots, but I think this is, I don't know. I think it's contender for album of the year so far for me. And it's really fucking good.
I've listened to the first couple of tracks and I liked them, but I wasn't in the right headspace to like check the whole album out, and so it's on my list. Like I've got it downloaded to my phone already because I saw, I don't know, it was somewhere on Twitter. One of our pod friends had posted about them, and I think Anthony, you had chimed in on it, and I was like, damn, I should probably check this out. So one of those like semi-organic, even from my own podcast, from our own podcast account, like something you wrote instead of me, and I should check that out. So that was kind of a funny turn for it, but it's definitely on my list, and I need to give that a whirl because I like the description. I mean, I like Gaslight, so I'm going to be down for that.
I mean, the new album in a vacuum, it could open for Bruce. Like it's in that.
Ooh, wow.
It's in that realm. Like, check out the song Habitual, and it wouldn't be out of place them opening at for Bruce at Gillette Stadium.
Damn.
It's good. It's really good. It's super polished. And then if you like that, you can kind of ease your way back into the old stuff.
If it makes a difference, I just wrote down The Weeknd and Hot Water Music. So,
ooh, we're halfway down, baby. We're halfway there.
It makes a difference, Nate.
I'm down for the assignment. It's all about just remembering, right? It's like, oh shit, oh yeah, all right here. I haven't heard this name in so long, but you did post something recently with the flyer, concert flyer.
Oh yeah, yep.
With Glassjaw. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that band. So this is, one of those things where you're like, oh nice, like they put out a new album. That means they're most likely going to tour off it. So it's worth it to check them out because if they come through, I'll know, similar to what I said about Spoon, like, oh, I'm up to speed, and now I'm getting a direct recommendation from you. So it'd be a mistake to not check this out. But I'm also always surprised that bands like this that maybe it's just me, like forgot about, but they're still up and running and they're still, writing new music. So when was the last album before this?
Probably like 5 years ago. They had an album on, I think it was Light It Up on Rise Records.
All right. And that was why I was asking, because it's been a minute. 5 years is a gap. But pandemic or not, that's like a long time.
Yeah.
But they've been pretty steady in that like every 5 years or so.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more early on, a little more frequently. But that's a band I've never seen. I'd love to. I don't think they've ever come to Maine. I'd have to fact check that. But
It's funny you say that because Nate's saying, oh yeah, I'm going to listen to them and then maybe they'll come through. Like that's San Diego, right? We're not, or LA, like just a quick little ride up to LA. For us, it's hopefully Boston if we're going to get down to that for some of that stuff. And man, it's a grind. It's a grind in the Northeast when you live in Maine.
And they played Boston in the last couple of years. I think that they played the Sinclair.
Oh, nice. Cool.
All right, Nate, got another one?
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to touch on that, what you just said too, because, I'm going to be home at some point and to be able to chill with you guys in person. And I was checking out shows and there's just not a whole lot. I'm like, fuck, dude, I am spoiled out here.
Comparatively, you were definitely spoiled.
Yeah, it's just a matter of hopefully getting to it. So it becomes show regret, as Twan said. I put them all on my phone and it's like I'm creating instant FOMO because I know I can get to maybe 15% of those shows.
Hey, thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, I'm not actually going to all this stuff. I want to. But actually, that's another thing. Having those in my calendar, whether I can make it or not, or I'm working the show at the venue, is more incentive because it's like, I'm curious that band is still going. And I would check out the gig if I could reasonably make the show, but I can't. So I might as well check out the new music. So it's like a reminder as a calendar, like, hey, they're playing fucking Troubadour in LA. Like, sweet, can't go, but I'll check out the new record.
Give it a shot. You'll like it. Feel the void.
I will absolutely do that. And to that note, for, you know, bands coming through or just playing new music, circling back to that whole Pearl Jam thing, the opening band was, and I might be saying this wrong, so just bear with me, Pluralone or Plural One, I believe it's pronounced. It's Josh Klinghoffer, formerly of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, both as a guitarist and originally as a guitar tech for the original John Frusciante.
Not the fake John Frusciante, the original, the OG.
The original. Yep. And he has his own band called Plural One or Pluralone, however you want to say it. They opened for Pearl Jam, and he's also a member of the touring band, at least right now. I'm not sure if he's an official member, but he's at least on the touring lineup, which is cool. Does backing vocals and instrumentals and so forth. In preparation to see those 3 gigs, I was curious on what his music sounded like, so I checked it out, and he puts out a shitload of music. If you go on Spotify, he's habitually just putting out music all the time, which is really cool. So there was a lot to check out, and I dug into it. Actually, a lot of the times I was just playing it in the background because there was so much music from him that I was able to kind of play like hours on hours of his music while I was getting some work done. And I was like, damn, this guy's really good. And opened all 3 nights, and he's really good live as well. And he played his original stuff, and I think I sent you guys, he played a cover of Nutshell by Alice in Chains and just absolutely fucking slayed it.
That was very cool. Yep.
Yeah, he's got that voice and just passion where you're like, all right, this guy's for real. So yeah, I've been checking out that stuff, and he's better than you think he would be, you know. And I say that lightly. I mean, like, he's not just a replacement member of the Chili Peppers or a backing member of Pearl Jam. He's a legitimate artist, so it's no wonder he's getting the spotlight as the opener for the Pearl Jam North American tour.
And that's saying something, getting that spot, because you know, we've talked about this before. Those legacy acts get to pick. They're not getting anything jammed down their throat. They're saying, we want to take this band and this artist and you, and this is how we want our, you know, curating our evening. This is who we want to warm up our crowd, because, you know, the crowd is really how they make their money, how they have their experience. The Jamily, as Nate said, you need to have something out front that fits for them, and for him to be the, you know, the face of that Plural One or Pluralone, to be the face of that, to start the night, start the evening, that says something. So definitely worth checking out.
I get some trivia for you guys. We've talked about this, I don't think on air, but it was off air in some capacity. I don't know if we were thinking about people to reach out to for guests, but he is the youngest person to do what, or to be what?
Ooh, I know. To be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, 32. When he's 32 years old.
Crazy.
Which, like, what was he, 7? You know, you have to be around for 25 years.
Yeah. We talk off air. That's the thing that I just doesn't make sense to me. He said, I don't know if we did this on air or off air. We talk off air? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, we still hang out.
In the Patreon, yeah. The deep cut stuff.
Yeah. 32. Damn.
Yeah, he's really good, man. I was impressed by his musical ability as a vocalist. I was like really very impressed. But yeah, just being a young dude too. And this actually is a callback to what you mentioned, Twan, some Analogy King type thing where it's like you're in the Walmarts and Targets of the world, you know, music promotional wise, that's like a pay to play slot. So Pearl Jam is one of the biggest bands in the world. So to be hand selected, hand picked to be part of this North American tour is like an automatic promotion to, you know, big box retailer. Like, oh, you're going to get the biggest crowd in the world. Like anyone from 12 to 112 is going to be in our audience, and you get that slot. And whoever you capture out of that, whether it's Spotify spins or record sales, merch sales, that net is so wide. So you're going to find someone. And I'm definitely raising my hand as a new fan. So it's a slot that's, you know, high regarded. They could choose anyone to jump on tour with them. So to get that slot is very, very special, especially because Pearl Jam's playing. I mean, they went on stage every night at 9:50 and closed at, you know, between 11 and 11:45 at night. So that opening slot's only 30 minutes, and who's it going to be? So
cool. Something to check out.
Yep.
All right. My next one, my second one I have here. We talked about it a little bit. We've had this artist on the podcast, the new Frank Turner record, FTHC.
Ooh, nice.
Yep. Pretty excited about it when it came out. Still pretty excited about it. Listened to it again maybe 3 or 4 days ago. And it just has a lot of different kind of styles and vibes. There's some heavy stuff. There's some lighter stuff. There's some heavy like themes too that are just interesting to listen to the story because Frank just kind of gives you everything. He doesn't pull any punches, and Punches is a song on there. He doesn't do that. Like you're going to get him and his feelings through his music. I think from the jump, and I hope that came through in our conversation with him we had about a year ago, and I think it comes through in this record. And I'm pretty stoked to see him coming in Portland when we're going, right? Like a couple of weeks. I think about 2.5 weeks from now. So
wow,
that's
geez, I didn't realize it was so soon.
Yeah, it's middle of June, right? And this will drop. It's about 3 weeks from now. So
yeah,
pretty stoked to see him again. So I'm in the fall with my wife. Smaller, more stripped down. This will be a little bit more full band, getting to hear these songs loud and live, which I'm excited about.
This album is some of my favorite work by him, and I haven't heard as much as you have, Tone, but I loved this record. Untainted Love, I think it's track 3 or 4. I think that was the highlight for me. Really freaking good. And then what's the last song? Something City.
Yeah, Farewell to My City, maybe.
Farewell to My City. Yeah. Yep. That was really good. And Punches is good. Punches is more upbeat, right?
Yep.
And Miranda, Fatherless. Yeah, great album. I love that he kind of leaned into the roots for a lot of this. I'm still part of the Frank Turner Army Facebook group, and some people were not, into that as much. They like the softer stuff, the more, I don't know, contemporary stuff by him. But I'm in. I love this album. I haven't listened to it in a few weeks. Yeah, probably a few weeks at this point, but I'll have to ramp back up with the show coming up.
Well, that was my next question. I wrote it down to check it out now. Because, Tone, you got me into Frank Turner to begin with on this podcast. So I know his stuff up until this record. But for Twan, do you think going to the show is more incentive for you to check out the new record in preparation or what?
Oh, yeah. No, I think I think he said it. This album was meant to be played live. And
oh, nice.
Non-Servium's the first song. That's in The Gathering. Those are meant to be live songs. So absolutely. And I bet he'll lean into a lot of these new songs in in his set list.
Yeah, I'm sure of it. Where it's been out for a little while now, he's played a bunch of shows in England, I think in Europe. He's touring Europe at the moment. And it's going to be fun to hear this stuff because we heard in October, it was him and one of the Sleeping Souls bandmates, I believe, and it was just the two of them. There was no drum, there was no bass, it wasn't loud like that. It was cool, it was a good show, but I'm excited to hear the plugged in version of some of these songs. We heard The Gathering was cool. I want to hear this with the guitar solo done by Jason Isbell on the record, but done in person. I want to hear that. That's going to be really cool to hear, that and see the energy of the crowd and in a small place too. I think it's Aura, right? So a tiny little venue. I'm sure that'll do well ticket wise. And I'm just gonna rock out and have a blast. And it's exciting when that stuff comes to our backyard.
I'm going to say two things. One thing, I'm going to live vicariously similar to what you did with Pearl Jam and be there with you guys at the show here in California. I don't know if I can refresh the setlist.fm and get the real-time drink setlist. Regardless, I'm stoked that you guys are checking out a former guest of ours. Secondly, there's something to be said about having a guest on while he's in writing mode and then putting out a record where no matter what, we are part of the fabric of that record because we had him on while he was in the process of putting out that record. So there's another layer of nerdery there where it's we got to talk to him in that writing phase as fans, but also as, I don't know what you want to call this, journalism, just geeking out with your bands. But they're putting out a record and we were part of that process in a de facto way.
I know, and he put out The Gathering a week after we talked to him, and I wish he had told us he was going to drop that song.
Yeah.
I know. The lesson there is just ask.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So when's the new single coming out? What's it going to be called? What's it sound like?
I will gladly ask those controversial questions, but I hold out because controversial.
I will say Nate will ask anything. Nate is not afraid.
Yeah.
Nate is not afraid, and that's why we love him.
Like Eminem, Nate is not afraid.
Not afraid. Yep.
All right, we jumping in here. I'm gonna slow play this one. I'm gonna tease this one. I always like doing this. I'll say two things and see if you guys can get it. If bands were stocks, I would push my chips in and say this band is gonna continue to blow up in 2022. One, and two, they were actually mentioned in our 2021 end of year recap. They were an alternate. They were an honorable mention because they had just an EP out, and we didn't put those in the top 5.
I know it.
Nate, do you know it?
Is this Turnstile?
Nope.
No, they had an EP out last year.
Koyo, yeah.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. You would have got that with a second guess, right, Nate?
Oh, yeah. I had it written down.
All right, so let's recap what happened. So they put out an EP last year, and since then they signed to Pure Noise, and they put out 2 new songs, Straight North and 10 Digits Away. I assume those are going to be on the new album, and I think it's coming out this summer. I don't know, but if those songs are any preview of what's to come, I'm all in. It's it takes everything great about, I think it was a 7-inch or the first EP, and then the second EP that came out last year, just amplified it. I think the production's better. There's more melody. It's great. I think these guys are going to blow up. I think the Pure Noise backing helps. They're from Long Island, which we know I love. But so if you've never heard of them, I would say just look to Long Island bands. If you like Taking Back Sunday, Crime and Stereo, Movie Life, all those guys. But yeah, the hype's been building. Like I feel like I got in late when I checked out that EP last year, but clearly not. Like the wave is coming, and I think they're going to be huge.
The investing analogy just keeps going. Like you got in late.
Right. Yeah. Except these guys won't crash. These won't. Yeah.
We hope not. Right.
Right.
I'm excited to check out a full length from these guys. I've listened to the 2 songs. It's been a while now, but I am excited for that. And I think getting a whole cohesive record from them will be fun. They just finished a tour too, which I think they are with Knock Loose and Movements, maybe.
Movements and is it Kubla Khan?
Yep.
Yeah.
So they I'm sure are ready to it's time to give you guys some music. I can't imagine they didn't already have some stuff ready for that. They've been putting out a song here and there, and being on Pure Noise will help too. I'm excited for that. That'll be fun. I hope that pops off this summer.
There's another thing too, based on the fact they had an EP before the record. Like, I know that's like an old school tactic in the music industry to put out an EP and kind of get some, money generation, but also get a pulse on what's going on out there in terms of, whether it be the scene or just units sold. There's a different element in 2022, which is even Netflix does that. They put out like Ozark 6 episodes and then they release the rest of the season later. Like they're literally like gauging, what are we going to do here? How much money should we put into the final product? So the fact the record industry has done that from the jump and still relevant today just shows that that's kind of a timeless model.
Yeah, and music industry's taken it a step further, which is the single, the one-off single. Like I think in past episodes we referenced like the hip-hop rapper Russ. He's notorious for that. It was all strategic. He'd put a new song out on SoundCloud every week and just, keep you coming back, where you're not waiting 2 years or 3 years for a full length. And in this day and age with the way attention spans are, yeah, you got to be out there. So I do like that Netflix analogy. Like if the first half of Ozark sucked, they might squash the budget, still put it out, but not promote it,
Yeah, like not get exactly, not go on the Late Show and promote it. Be like, we don't need to do press, actually. No,
no one cares.
Netflix needs to find a way to tighten the belt a little bit anyway, right? Man, they're having a tough go right now.
Unsubscribe.
I mean, I got it. I won't say too much, but I haven't paid for it in years.
Ooh, nice. Password. You got a password.
Because you got gift cards, right?
Yes, I have Netflix gift cards. I don't know if you guys knew those were a thing.
That you're redeeming for 3 years.
Here's a fun little tangent. When I lived with Anthony, I remember you having a Netflix subscription, and that was back when they sent you DVDs in the mail, and I was always
That's
like,
right.
"What is he doing? Getting DVDs in the mail? What the fuck?" And look what they turned into. So
I think the only DVD player I had at that time was in my iMac. Like that,
That
shows
sounds
you even
right.
then how like archaic they were.
Wow. That's so funny.
we didn't have one in the we had one. My Xbox played them too. That
Oh,
was
there
it.
you go. Yeah, these alternate modalities. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Extra tangent squared, is I used to have a buddy in Boston that had a library. Actually, it was a friend by association, had a library of burned DVDs. And I remember him bragging on like, dude, I got every movie in the planet. You know why? I'm like, why? He's like, I have a Netflix subscription. I get it and get this. I burn it and then I fucking store it. So I have every movie you'd ever want to watch. I have it. I'm like, that's sick, dude. And that was like, even after Napster, but and also Pirate Bay and all that stuff. But to have like a physical product of like a full motion picture, like everything good, and he thought he was like hacking the code. I'm like, well, you're still paying for it, bro.
Yeah, right. Are you selling these? Because that's the only way
Yeah.
you'd make your money back. Yeah, right. But this guy's name is LimeWire.
Yeah. Bear share.
That's funny because the streaming was out. No, probably not at that point. Yeah.
Not this.
Yeah.
Yeah, iTunes was going, but I don't think much else was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it went in waves,
Yeah.
coincidentally.
So yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in. These guys, I think they're gonna blow up. Check out the Hate 56 videos. People go nuts. The hype is real.
The hype is real. Yeah, I see them a lot on our Twitter feed, and I like it. I'm excited about it myself.
Man, that's so I wrote that down just for the record. I will check that out. Hopefully they run through here on tour so I can make the excuse to go check them out live as well to make it a work-related expense.
They probably already did, Nate. Tour
No, I
just
wouldn't
ended.
know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. Well, maybe I wouldn't know because I didn't write it down. Regardless, here's one that I did write down. And because they are rolling through and they're also playing a venue that I work at, I have a lot of respect for this guy. He is a former A Perfect Circle band member. His name is Billy Howardell. Phenomenal artist. Similar to Josh Klinghoffer, he was the guitar tech for Tool, I believe, and then became a full-on artist and made a band with Tool member Maynard James Keenan on A Perfect Circle. Fantastic records out by that band. This is a solo record that's about to drop, similar to what we were talking about earlier in the episode. They released a single, not an EP. It's a little teaser for the album that is eventually going to drop, and obviously the tour is to promote the said record. And the song is fucking badass. It's called Poison Flowers, and it's everything you would expect from the guy. If you know him from A Perfect Circle, it's very I don't even know how you describe that type of music. Very deep, obviously. I was going to say shoegaze, but it's not even close to shoegaze. But it has that kind of aura to it where it's deep, slows everything down, let's put it that way. But his vocals and just music style overall, the textures in this song are phenomenal. So I was like, listened to it the other day, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this show, but I'm really ready for this record because it's basically another Perfect Circle album, sans Maynard James Keenan. And additionally was written toward the pandemic. So you kind of have like that industrial goth type music coming out of a pandemic, which is already deep. And so it's going to be not only a good live show, but just a record that's very much a diary entry.
As you're talking, I realize that I don't know if the right word is like I'm guilty about this, but I'm notorious for just listening to who I'm about to see.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's kind of the name of the game. Like I'm thinking about shows that I have tickets for and that are on the docket, and they're all bands I'm listening to, and it's whether it's intentional or just comes with the territory. It's all part of it. So that's cool.
This is under the name Billy Howardell
Yes.
because he did the Ashes Divide thing too in mid to late 2000s, right? That was his kind of solo project, and that was cool too. I remember liking that.
Yeah, that was good. And I wonder, actually, that's a good point. I wonder if he decided to scrap the name and just go under his actual name as a full banner, mainly because there might be greater association with that for one. And then part two to that answer is mainly he will get creative control both on the royalty front and touring band front where, he's the band and anyone that's coming along for the ride is essentially getting a hired gun pay. So there's kind of two elements to that.
Trivia: who was the drummer for Ashes Divide in the studio?
Probably Josh Freese.
Yes, just that's any drum question. Just fucking throw out his
My guess, Josh Freese.
ding, 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 ding.
Seriously, the guy's just on speed dial for everyone. It's really cool.
It's amazing how much that guy has touched of music that we all love. Maybe we'll do a deep dive on Josh Freese someday. Just the shit that he's been a part of and how much we love.
If he's listening, we would love to have you on. Let's just talk about the Sting tour deep dive. Let's just do that.
All right, real quick, a live album from me, the Thursday Full Collapse live album that just dropped a couple weeks back. That I listened to that a couple times since it's dropped. I'm bummed that I didn't get my hands on the vinyl. It's just awesome. I mean, we love that record. We ride for that record. We had Tucker Rule on to talk about that record with us back on episode 92, I think. And yeah, go back and listen to that, and go listen to the live version of Full Collapse by Thursday.
All right, let's take inventory. We had Tucker Rule on. We had Frank Turner on. Is this a sign that is it Abel? Abel's coming on?
The Weeknd, yes. I wish. Don't know if we'll ever get to that level, guys. I hope so. That'd be cool.
Reserved for the Zane Lowe's of the world.
Yep.
You kind of reminded us that album came out, and I listened to a couple songs, and it translates well. I mean, it's how can it not? You know, we know we just saw him live, so.
And they mentioned Vinny Caruana, and we had Vinny on too. So.
Oh man, there's a secret sauce there that you're giving away.
I've been checking out a lot of the music that we talk about because I love it.
Yeah, it's full circle, full circle nerdery. You know what's funny? You said that I was checking out Tucker Rule's Instagram recently, and they put out like a special edition vinyl for the I used to live in Brooklyn, New York, for the Williamsburg version venue, and it's fucking badass. I don't know if you saw that, but it's like a really special vinyl package for that venue in particular. I think it was like 3 years ago. Yeah, you have to like kind of scroll back to his earlier posts, but it's really nice.
All right, well, take us home. Pain into Power by Terror. We posted about it on the socials. Love these guys since the early 2000s, ninth studio album, and I think it's their best since their 2006 album, Always the Hard Way, which I think was their third or fourth album. So this is 15 years removed from that. I think they put out probably 3, 4, 5 since then, and this is great. They brought back the original guitarist Todd Jones. He was only in the band for I think the first couple albums. They brought him back to produce this album, and it fucking rips. It's amazing. Got the main connection with Chris Linkovich, who fronts Cruel Hand. He's bass for them. It's got Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse, and it's like their anger. Scott Vogel, it's like his angriest performance to date. The album's just chaotic. It's kudos to them. That's again pure noise. So I got 2 pure noise bands, and who knows, Hot Water Music someday will probably be on pure noise.
So I listened to this last week at your recommendation and liked it more than I thought I would. First of all, not typically something that I would reach for, but it's 18 minutes, so it's not a super long. Not a super long commitment, which made it's my ride home from work. I was like, yeah, I'll toss that on. I'll be done as I'm pulling into the driveway, and I can give you my thoughts. It is relentless, but in a good way. Like, I don't say that as like you're gonna be upset by that. You're gonna be happy about it. If you're into music like that, you're gonna like that. I really liked. Was it? I think Boundless Contempt.
Dude, yes, that's what I wrote down too. Yeah,
that one was really cool to me. And I like Prepare for the Worst, the last song on the record. So there were some highlights there for me. I'll definitely put it on again because it's got some energy to it. And again, it's not a super long commitment. Like, you can bang this out in 20 minutes and be on to the next thing, but also remember that it's there and be like, man, that left a mark, even though it was only 18 minutes long.
And Vogel's 50. He's 49 years old. Like, he's just crushing it. He doesn't move around like he used to, but he doesn't need to because everyone else just moves around. And, more stage dives. Let's go.
Well, here's a proof of concept. I actually did check out this record on your recommendation, Twan.
Okay.
But the bias or the, I guess, cheat code is the fact that I knew Terror as a band. So you kind of threw it out there. And I'm like, oh, well, I know this band. I've seen them live, and I actually really love this band. But similar to your point on the best they've been since we said 0506. That's the last time I was like really into him. Like, I was fucking heavy. Like, even when I lived in New York City, I had a buddy, a metalhead there, He's like, I fucking love Terror. So we fucking jammed to Terror in like 06, 07. Moving around the country since then. Hard to find metalheads, to be honest, that are really like on your level. So shelved the band just based out of where I was living at the time, and then checked out the record. And similar to what you said, Tone, that was the first, because I had this as a record that I was checking out. Boundless Contempt is fucking dope. Such a good track. Like, I was like, this is old Terror. This is the Terror that I remember, at least. And I remembered them just killing it live, but also thinking then and also thinking now, like, this band is so insanely good, and they're basically a victim of their own style, because this is the kind of venue that they'll probably always play just based on their style. Like, they could be an arena band because they're that talented, but based on the genre and dynamic of their music, they really will always play this type venue. So they're kind of restricted to their bandwidth success-wise, you know?
Well, you worked the Terror Shadows Fall, the ceiling show.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Terror warmed up. That's when the tiles started to fall.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, that was fun. There's a lot of good stuff coming out. There's a lot of good stuff that has come out, and yeah, I'll just say this: if what we've seen so far for new stuff is a sign of what's to come, then it's going to be a fun summer and in fall.
well, and we're dropping this on the Monday after the Kendrick record drops, too. So I'm excited for that Kendrick Lamar
that's
record. We
right.
have not heard it yet because we're about 4 days removed from it dropping. The new song is great. I've watched the video a couple times. I've listened to the song a couple times. I'm excited for that. But yeah, it's going to be a good year. We've got a ton more coming our way. It's only middle of May, and we're going to get some fun summer records and fun fall records, I think, too.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
I agree. And just on that last note, I think we talked, I don't know, when we launched, or no, mid so, like during the pandemic, let's call it July of 2020. Why are bands holding out on releases, like hoping like some miracle is going to happen to put this record out at a different time? I think there was a sentiment kind of that we all agreed on, that is, just put it out. There's enough fans that will dig whatever you're working on or have in the can. But I actually walk that back now, because I'm more stoked now than ever on live or new music, that I'm going to gravitate towards everything I wrote down on tonight's episode, and actually go check it out because I can. So there is a promotional aspect, but also just mental state of, oh, I'm more appreciative and have a better state of mind to check out this music in a better light, rather than, oh my God, dude, the world's like ending. And even if this music's amazing, it just has such a negative connotation that I'll never revisit it. So I will take it back and say shelving records for hoping for better times is maybe an accurate chess move.
I think that ship has sailed. I think last year, or certainly in 2020, maybe some last year, but in 2022, nah, that no one's holding back. I think no one's gonna, hold out for a sunny day. No, not gonna happen. They're just gonna put it out.
I mean, at this point, they have to. Right? They need streams. They need record sales. They need pre-orders. Like, it's time. Just put the music out.
Yeah, true.
I hope we're past all that. On a brighter note, check us out at podioslave.com, on the Instagram and the Twitter and all that, the socials, at Podioslave. Email us at podioslavepodcast@gmail.com. We'll be back next week with another episode, because another one, right? Why not?
Another one.
We get a fun stretch, and I'm here for it. I hope you're going to be there for it, and we'll see you next week and the week after. Peace out.
Yeah, hit us up on records you're listening to. I will write it down, maybe. These guys have, like, obviously priority, so I'll, write these down.
Yeah, Nate's got to listen to ours first, but if yours are good, and we'll ask you, we'll ask the friends and the fans out there what you're listening to. But yeah, he'll write it down.
Yeah, I'll take an Elon Musk Twitter poll. Go from there.
Oh, boy.
But, yes. All right, cool. Awesome, nerds. Cheers.
Peace, potheads.